productivity, winning strategies, and aligning employer-employee goals. If this sounds like something your business could use more of, then you've come to the right place. The Business Mechanic Show with your host, Vaughn Sigmund. Let Vaughn show you how to develop, improve, and jumpstart your business. So now, please welcome the host of The Business Mechanic, Vaughn Sigmund.
Welcome to the Business Mechanic Show. This is your host, Vaughn Sigmund, co-founder of Results-Driven Leadership, where we help you fix your people problems. Today's show is one that I keep coming across. It's a situation I keep coming across. I get hired fairly often to come in and help fix this situation. Let me get into it. It's when being right can be very wrong. What do I mean by that? Listen, management, leadership, it's a high-pressure world. There's this seductive trap that ensnares many a well-intentioned manager. The allure of being unerring, being right, it's a mindset that whispers of order, of precision, of the ship sailing smoothly under the unchallenged command of you, the captain. But here's the rub. This approach is often dubbed command and control. And it's a relic of a very bygone era, and I talk about this fairly often. I'm going to take a slightly different approach to it today. This strategy of command and control that when wielded as the default management style, it's doomed. It's doomed to falter. It's doomed to failure. And it just creates this sea of discontent, dysfunction, lack of initiative. And the very reason why many managers, and this is a very common default management approach, the very reason they're doing it is because they think that's the right thing to do to get people to do what they need to do. And it's the exact opposite. And that's hard to embrace. And it's really hard to change, especially if you've been doing it that way for a while. The crux of the matter is, and it lies in the very nature of being right as a management philosophy. It's a stance that at its core is about micromanagement, about holding the reins so tightly that every flicker of initiative from members of your team is completely snuffed out. It's snuffed out before it can even catch a spark. It's a world where the manager's word is law, where deviation is discouraged. My way's the way. And where the vibrant tapestry of diverse ideas is bleached monochrome. It's a monochrome of compliance. It doesn't allow for thinking. But in these management approaches, these managers approaching things this way, this quest for perfection, for this high level of execution that's required, the manager is unwittingly setting the stage for the very outcomes they dread. And they're the first to complain about it. Mediocrity, stagnation, lack of participation. Nobody ever talks in meetings. Nobody comes to me with a solution. They only come to me with problems. And it's a team that you create. And again, unknowingly, nobody has shown you a better way. Nobody's pointed out to you that your way is not ever going to work optimally. And you end up with a team that operates on the fuel of resignation. Not innovation, resignation. I just got to do it his way or I'll get yelled at. And the irony of all this, when you really stop and think about it, is palatable. In the pursuit of doing things right, The command and control manager, they think they're doing the right thing, but it's the only tool they have in their drawer. They're constructing this environment where things can never truly be done right. The reason is simple, yet profound. Just because a manager believes they are right does not mean that the team, the ones on the front lines, turning the strategy into actions, the ones who have to execute, that they share this conviction. And why would they voice their dissent, their insights, their innovative ideas? What's the motivation for that? This culture of demand and infallibility, meticulously cultivated by the manager's insistence on being right, always a monologue, never a dialogue, one-way ticket to no motivation. It's taught them that their voices, they're not valued. Their perspectives, they're not welcome. You don't mean that. You actually want that. But you don't realize you're putting up a block. You're putting up a wall. You're creating a lack of communication between you and your employees. And you don't do this intentionally. You do it because you don't know another way. Or maybe somebody's never pointed out to you that this is a very flawed approach. And so when this cycle of command and control, of righteous rigidity, the answer lies in the concept of one I love, a paradigm where the team is not a collection of cogs in a machine, but a group of independent thinkers, each brimming with initiative, productivity, and creativity. And they have the quiet confidence that comes with being trusted, being heard. In this model of decentralized command, the manager is not the overlord, but they become a facilitator, one who sets the vision and empowers the team to figure it out, to help them, guide them to navigate the path forward, drawing on their ideas, drawing on their experiences, drawing on their opinions, working collectively as a force multiplier to get the job done well. And it takes on a whole new mindset of your team. When they feel like that they've got a contribution to this, that they are part of this, their ideas are being heard, they're being acted upon, that they're valued, they're much more likely to go do the job. They're helping you solve problems. Their solutions are not always going to be right. And you've got to navigate your way through that discussion. That's a future podcast. But in this kind of environment, this decentralized command, this group effort, when we're a team attacking the goals, we're a team going after the strategy, we're a team solving problems. In that environment, complaints are rare. Believe me, your folks are complaining. You want them complaining. You absolutely want them to complain to you. But if you're not the person they can come and feel safe and secure to complain to, or bring ideas, or tell you that something's wrong, they're just going to talk to each other. And what does that accomplish? You can't fix what you don't know about. Let's open the door and let them complain. Always embrace complaints. It tells you what's wrong. So many managers want to complain about complainers. I'm telling you, you want to hear them. You want to dissipate that complaining energy with you, not with each other. Because if you know about it, you can do something about it, and you better do something about it. You want an open dialogue. You want collaborative problem solving. You want them coming to you with solutions, not just the problems. But if you don't give them the ability or the environment to think, they're not thinking. But when you do, it's amazing. Contributions soar, not out of fear of obligation, not because it's legislated, but from a genuine desire to achieve a shared goal. We're part of something bigger. We're aligned with the goal. This is in the essence of effective management, where the focus shifts from being perpetually right to fostering an ecosystem where the right results emerge from a foundation of trust, autonomy, and collective intelligence. There's an old saying, you may be the smartest person in the room. You may believe you're the smartest person in the room, but you will never be smarter than the room. You'll never be as smart as that entire room's brain power. You'll never know that until you tap into it. So to my fellow managers, I say this: let loose, let go of those reins, step back from the helm, and allow your team to chart a course that's not just a destination you set, but beyond it, with their ideas, with their fuel, to horizons you hadn't even dared to imagine. I've seen this happen. I've experienced this using this very approach. I know how powerful it is. I used it for decades. And it's highly successful. I had to learn it. You can learn it too. And in the end, it's not about being right. It's about doing right by your team, doing right by your mission, your responsibilities, and tapping into this unbounded potential that lies within a truly empowered collective team. The perils, on the other hand, of clinging to the mantle of rightness, that extends far beyond the immediate discomfort of disagreements. You want complaints, you want disagreement. That's okay. I'll never know what they're thinking unless they disagree with me. It's not a personal attack. They're not telling you you're stupid because they disagree with you. They just have a different opinion. Embrace that. Love that. Now you'll know why they sometimes, if not often, don't do the things you've asked them to do. This mantle of rightness manifests into a gradual disintegration of team cohesion, the silent toll of high employee turnover, the insidious blame game that poisons relationships at every level. Because you often, if you are a command and control manager, you're always going to blame it on your employees or the employee who's not doing it. That's the blame fest. And fingers start pointing everywhere. But in fact, there are no bad teams. There's only poor leaders. It's the leader. That's the common denominator to poorly performing teams. Where goals are unmet, there's dysfunction that spins on. And the common denominator is this leader, this unyielding stance of someone who is unaware and unwilling to self-examine themselves and recognize that they're contributing mightily to the issue. Yet acknowledging this is only the first step. It's the first step in a transformative journey that requires courage, humility, and a steadfast commitment to growth. The path to shedding the armor of rightness. It's never swift, and man, is it not easy. But it makes your job easier in the long run, makes you happier, makes your team happier. But it requires you challenging to confront the deeply ingrained habits and mindsets that have shaped your approach or their approach for a lifetime. If you're 25 years old, you got 25 years of practice at a bad habit. If you're 35, 45, whatever age you are, you've had that many years of ingraining this as how you approach and manage things. May have gotten you by. May have. But if you want to change, keep listening. Because the rewards of making the changes, that journey and those rewards will give you immeasurable sense of accomplishment and success. Let's delve into the heart of the challenge. Let's explore the subtle yet profound ways in which the insistence of being right undermines leadership effectiveness. I'm about to cover, maybe even uncover, the telltale signs of this leadership pitfall. But more importantly, I will also offer to you, I'll chart a course towards a more open, reflective, and adaptive leadership style. And that's going to be through a blend of self-assessment, feedback, targeted development. And then you can continue your journey from manager to leader. You can embark on this path of self-improvement. It's up to you. It's up to you to embrace change, discomfort, and that will foster a culture of accountability, resilience, mutual respect, which is huge. So join me. Let's explore this transformative power. I call it the transformational triangle of change. Work on yourself. It will transform your team, which then bleed over to a more successful company. Let me approach this first with a story. This isn't about anybody in particular. I'm coming up with a made-up story that's made up of very true pieces and parts. And I'm going to call the subject of this story Mike. You know, I love the name Mike in my stories. And Mike is the kind of guy you'd notice the moment you stepped into the office. Sharp, experienced, by far the most seasoned manager there. He has a high level of intelligence, and he knows the business front, back, and sideways. However, Mike, when pressured at all, when things don't go well, he has a temper that can ignite at the drop of a hat. And his outbursts are legendary. And let me tell you, this Mike exists in a lot of companies. Like I mentioned earlier, I get hired to fix mics all the time. It's my specialty. I love to tackle these mics. Sometimes I'm successful. Most of the times I'm successful. Sometimes the mics of the world aren't willing to make the changes. They're that right. But back to Mike and these legendary outbursts, these spectacles of fury that are wielded like a blunt instrument to get the team in line. When in full throttle, his tirades are scary. And everybody knows it. Everybody's affected by it. Everybody knows about it. Everybody's affected by it, but the boss. See, somehow around the boss and in front of the boss, he's on his best behavior. But one day, finally, this always happens. Sometimes it takes weeks, months, years, but this happens. It comes around sooner or later. The boss gets a phone call. And then another, and holy cow, the boss realizes they've got a fire burning. And they've named the fire Mike. They finally had enough, and they've reached out in the last vestige of hope The last person could even possibly do something about it, and that's the boss. See, for years, Mike stuck to this approach. His way was the only way. A lot of one-way conversations, and when things did not go exactly as he thought, see, he was not a great communicator. He didn't always explain exactly what he wanted, so the folks he was giving directives to knew exactly what to do, but they were afraid of Mike. They would not ask Mike questions. They would not get specifics. They would avoid those conversations like the plague because they were afraid that Mike would explode. So the tension, the culture here was an air full of crackle and tension. But Mike, in the whole time, was expecting things just to fall into place. If I just do it louder, they'll finally get it. But the pieces would never fall into place. And despite his intelligence, despite his experience, his team was stuck in this perpetual loop of underperformance, frustrating the hell out of Mike. Every bright new hire that he'd bring in within weeks were demoralized, and Mike was complaining about, who is this person I hired? I hired this bright, cheery, smart person, and now there's no initiative. They can't follow instructions. It's like they've never been trained on anything. Time after time, and Mike wants to always blame the poor candidate pool. He never looked in the mirror. He saw everybody else's failings and never realized that they were a reflection of his own. It was a cycle of frustration, a dance of dysfunction. And Mike would rail against the wind, lamenting how his team never seemed to learn, never seemed to grasp the lessons that he so forcefully and passionately imparted on them. Because in Mike's mind, the problem lay everywhere but him. It was a maddening puzzle for him. And he didn't realize the missing piece. Then came the turning point. The boss reaches out to me, tells me the situation, tells Mike he's got to get with it. Mike's going to have to fix it. Everybody's replaceable. And now that the boss was aware of the dysfunction created by Mike, the churn or the constant storm within this department was all due to Mike's poor leadership style and lack of anger management. So the boss found me and asked me to come in and do a sort of intervention. We jokingly call it that. And I came in, assessed the situation. My goal was, first of all, to get Mike to look in the mirror, to realize and to embrace that the problem wasn't them, the problem was him. He was creating his own problems. And let me tell you, it was a rocky start. He fought me. He was a fortress of certainty. And he really wanted to resist the notion that he was the architect of his own troubles. But slowly, through persistence, changing approaches a little bit, the walls began to crumble. And almost through gritted teeth, a journey inward began for Mike. And he started realizing and embracing the truth that he avoided. It was right there. He was now seeing it. He was the common denominator in a math problem that kept coming up short. His eruptions, his iron-fisted way of motivating were not the clarion call to action he imagined. Instead, it was a foghorn, blaring a signal, blaring a warning that sent his team scurrying for cover. And with guidance, we started Mike with DISC and understanding the tapestry of behaviors and communication styles and the needs of others. This really began the epiphany for Mike. It was a revelation that his approach, but understanding that most of his team were high S's, stability, and they're very conflict avoidant. When you speak to high S's in the way Mike constantly spoke with his team, it's like speaking in a foreign tongue, expecting them to be fluent in that language. His aggression, his intensity, it didn't inspire, it terrified. And it turned his team into shadows, silent, evasive, non-participants, apathetic. But they were apathetic out of sheer self-preservation. They had to avoid the conflict. They're very conflict avoidant and passive aggressive. Now that Mike realized the damage he was doing and why he was doing it, how he was doing it, the transformation wasn't overnight, but the path began. It required some humility. It certainly required a journey of unlearning and relearning. And he began to temper his fire, his passion, to approach his team not as a general leading troops, but as a guide, a mentor. He started practicing and learning the art of collaboration, the strength in his own vulnerability. Most important, the power of servant leadership. And as Mike changed, amazingly, transformational triangle change. As Mike changed, so did the world around him. That office that was once a battlefield became a sanctuary of synergy, innovation, participation. Turnover dwindled to almost zero. Mistakes became lessons rather than failures. And the team, Mike's team, the same team that was a group of screw-ups a few months ago, began to flourish like never before. Mike ended up getting what he desired. He just had to find the right tool to get him there. He was now provided that path. And certainly Mike, and again, he's made up of many different individuals that I've worked with through the decade I've been doing this, really through the decades I've been working with people. Came this journey of redemption. It's a testament to transformative power of self-awareness and adaptability. It was a reminder that sometimes to lead is not to tower above, but to walk alongside, to listen and grow together. So is it time to look in the mirror? If you find yourself navigating through some of the following challenges with your team and your workplace, it's likely you have some degree of this issue as I'm the smartest person syndrome. This mindset where a manager believes they hold all the answers lead to dozens, big range of dysfunctions that not only hinder the team's performance, but also corrode the very fabric of workplace culture. Alignment, engagement, the wanting to do a good job rather than dodging bullets all day. Once again, I'm going to say, you may in fact be the one with all the answers. You may be in fact the smartest person in the room, but I assure you that you are not as smart as the collective room. Bring that room in, and you've got a really powerful force. Let's break it down. Shall we? When you're at the helm, convinced your way is the only ticket. When you catch yourself, this is the first thing. Am I somebody that just tells people what to do? and then ask them, do you have any questions? Nobody ever has any questions. You might be this person to some degree. And when you do that, you are inadvertently slamming the door to the kind of the out of the box thinking, the problem solutions that come into you, talking things through, critical thinking. That starts propelling people forward. But if not, if it's a one-way monologue all the time, it's like telling your team, thanks, but no thanks. Because every time they dare to toss an idea into the ring, the result, no ideas, none. Why would they? They have no initiative. You have a creativity drought. And in most cases, you're just approaching the communication and the asking wrong. You've never given them the opportunity to feel safe to offer ideas or objections. And their ideas and objections seemingly are blocked like Akeem, the dream Olajuwon. Your conversations are monologues with Vlad the Impaler. You may not, I'm sure you don't mean to. Nobody goes to work and want to be like this. But that's how you're coming across. We've got to manage perceptions, folks. You may not see yourself that way, but how do they see you? What is the picture you're painting? It really doesn't matter what you think of you. It's what they think of you. That's the next big pause you got to take. Picture this. You're part of a crew, but every time you chip in, your 2 cents gets brushed off like lint off a jacket. If every time you do that, you get blocked or told you're wrong or ignored entirely, yeah, but, that's a very common term with the right people. The people have to be right. Yeah, but. Are you a yeah, but person? Listen, every time you bring up an idea, objection, some kind of suggestion, how long before you check out? How long before your morale hits rock bottom? What if that was you? Maybe you are being treated that way. Maybe that's your role model. Doesn't mean you have to be that way. You can change it. But if you don't, the vibe goes south. Maybe your vibe's a little south too. It's tough to rally the troops when they feel like their insights are about as valuable as a screen door on a submarine. And if you got gossiping going on, you got drama going on, you got dysfunction happening, when you're the self-appointed brainiac of the bunch, it's like you're throwing down the gauntlet at every turn. Disagreements aren't just disagreements anymore. They can sometimes be full-blown showdowns with everyone on edge, ready to defend their corner of the sandbox because they know you're not about to budge an inch. So again, if I fight you, I'm never going to win. And I honestly don't want to fight you. Most people don't want to fight. You're expecting them to give you suggestions and ideas, and they're getting swatted away all the time. You inadvertently do that. You don't know you're doing it. If they're bringing you problems all the time, and it's only you're the solo act that has to come up with a solution, you have to tell them what to do. Can nobody think around here? It's like you're wearing blinders. You're charging ahead with what you think is the winning play without so much as a nod to the collective wisdom around you. You're not listening. You may be hearing, but you're not listening. And here's the kicker. That tunnel vision can lead you straight into a ditch. And By doing that, you miss out on all kinds of game-changing insight that can only come from a huddle. I know right now some of you thinking, I don't have time for all these huddles and discussions. I've got to get going. I got stuff to do. 100% right. How's it going the way you're doing it? How's it working for you now? So if any of this sounds eerily familiar, it's time for a wake-up call. It's about recognizing the cracks in the I'm the smartest person here facade and getting down to the brass tacks of building a space where everyone's voice matters, where collaboration isn't just a buzzword, where together we're more than the sum of the parts. That's what you want. Now they're all lifting with you. So you want some solutions? I came up with 5. The life raft is here. Let's tackle this beast of always needing to be right. It's a tough nut to crack, but here's how we're going to start chipping away at it. 5 ideas. 1, dive into the feedback pool. Roll up your sleeves, dive headfirst into feedback. I'm talking about getting the lowdown from everyone, peers, direct reports, even the folks you bump into at the coffee machine. I don't care. Get as much feedback as you can get. What are the perceptions that you created unintentionally? It's all about broadening your horizon and seeing your leadership style through the kaleidoscope of perspectives. Trust me, it's eye-opener. 360 feedback is a game changer. Contact us here at Results Driven Leadership. We've got the Talasher 360 feedback program. Reach out to us. I put a link in the show notes. Check it out. It's very affordable. And it's going to give you the anonymous tool for people to give you that feedback. And once you have a pool of feedback, a collective pool of feedback, you can identify, number 2, the commonalities. So you can zero in on your Achilles heel. Once you've gathered all that intel, it's time to play detective. Look for patterns. Look for recurring themes. Those little nuggets of truth that keep popping up. Find one. Found 2, find 3. Choose one. That's your target. Whether it's beefing up your listening skills, dialing up your empathy, getting a grip on delegation, make that your mission. Pick one thing and start working on it. You don't want to ever start addressing multiple things at once. Pick one thing that you feel good about fixing and getting better at, and work on that until you've got it dialed in. That will be your first big win. And with that first big win, you can go back and choose another. And how do you know if you're winning? Tip number 3, you need to buddy up with a Yoda. Find yourself a mentor, hire a coach, someone who's been around the block and can help you navigate the twists and turns of this leadership journey. This is your Yoda, your Mr. Miyagi, someone who can offer you wisdom, challenge your assumptions, tell you your poop stinks, and guide you as you test out your new strategies and behaviors. And it's okay. You're going to make mistakes. And if you're interested in talking to us, I've got a great team of coaches. Again, link in the show notes. Check out our coaching program. We'll be there. We've all been around the block. We've been there, done that. Some of us have maybe had this same problem and have overcome it. We know how difficult it is. And then number 4, you got to remix your routine. It's time to shake things up and remix your daily routine. Start weaving in those new approaches, these ones you've been mulling over, talking with your coach about, your mentor about, whether it's about how to kick off a meeting, being more positive, giving more feedback, giving more positive feedback, making deposits in an emotional bank account, asking more questions, tackling decision-making as a group, collaboration, whatever it is. Make the change. And remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither will this new habit. But stick with it. You're going to fail. You're going to fall down. You need to brush yourself off. Don't quit. You're not a quitter. Brush yourself off. Go at it again. You're absolutely, especially in the early stages, you're going to screw up. Your natural emotions are going to come out, especially under stress. That's when our bad habits come out. Give yourself a break, catch it, learn from it. That'll help you remember it better the next time. But stick with the program, and you'll start seeing the shifts in how your team operates. And like I alluded to, number 5, make friends with failure. This is the kicker. You're going to stumble. You may even faceplant. But here's the secret sauce. Every misstep is a goldmine of insights. So when you faceplant, you stumble, stop examining it. Post-mortem it. What was the situation? What triggered me? How can I spot that coming next time? Redirect my thoughts. So then, oh, here's comes. I've got to think about something different. I've got to think about my new habit, not my old habit. I can't go where nature takes me because nature hasn't taken hold of the new habit yet. Mind those setbacks. Make them the priceless lesson that they are. So I'll start wrapping it up. By rolling up your sleeves and tackling these steps head on, you're not just chipping away at the need to always be right. You're laying the groundwork for a team culture that's more inclusive, more dynamic, and hell, a lot more resilient. And the cherry on top, you'll be setting the stage for a level of performance and team satisfaction that's through the roof. You'll find that being right was wrong, and you've got a new path to success. Let's get after it. Well, that's a wrap on another episode of the Business Mechanic Show. If today's content resonates with you, then you're going to love what we have to offer. Not only will it sharpen your strategies, but it will also provide you an ROI that's undeniable. Remember, the best investment you can make is in yourself and your team. And the best part, prices start at just $47 per month, making top-tier coaching and training accessible for everyone. Check out our website, rdltraining.com, to discover more details on our programs and coaches. We have a link in the show notes to guide you there. Until next time, we're out of here.